Hi everybody, it's Wednesday and it's 2 and I'm live and I finally got my stamp of the month in the mail. It took me a bit. I have no idea what I did with the other one I bought, so this is number 2 for me. And the other stamp set I've been dying to play with is this one. This one is called Writing in the Sand, and I know that it has caught a lot of people's eye because I've seen several people put this on their list on their purchases this month. So I thought, well, let's play with that, and I'm going to give you some tips for how to stamp using this stamp because it's kind of different than others. And at the same time, it kind of goes with that whole water theme with the stamp of the month and all of these really fun little oceany things. So I thought we'll just use them both, right? So let's start with it. That means it may be a little long because you know I tend to go long. Let's start with this one. First of all, it comes as the ocean is a separate stamp than the sand, and so you don't have to have a humongo block like this because you don't stamp them at the same time. But I put it on a humongo block because I wanted you to be able to see what I was doing. And this one, it's important to kind of make sure it's kind of roughed up. Stamp it off on scratch paper a whole bunch of times before you use it, that kind of thing. It really does help. And then the sand you can put on a different block or use the same block, but I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. And then the other cool thing about this set is it has these little messages that you can put in the sand, which is neat, or you can just cut it out and use it as a message on your cards. So I think that's really neat. So the first thing I want to do is I want to have some just pieces of cardstock that I cut down into like card base size, and I do like to use some sort of cushion on big stamps like this, so I'm going to use the foam when I stamp it. Now to ink this up, I like to go from light to dark, and when you think of the ocean, you think this part of the ocean is a little lighter than out to sea, so to speak. It's darker. So I got out my blues, and there's also Capri, which I didn't get out in there. I just thought I'd use these. So I'm gonna start with kind of a lighter version and just use these 3. This is Glacier, Lagoon, and Bluebird. And I like using 3 because I think of it as, you know, by the sand, the middle, and then dark at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lightest color and I am going to ink up the kind of the bottom third of my stamp. Now the second one, the Bluebird, I'm going to put on here just so I can show you how you can kind of see the color right here. It's very light. Okay, I don't want to overlap it entirely because the Bluebird will overtake that color. So I am going to just kind of do a little circular motion like that. Now, so right now I have Glacier right here and Bluebird right there. All right. And then Lagoon, actually I probably should have done Lagoon second. So 2 things you can do. If you don't want to mix your inks, you could wipe a little bit off like that at the top just so you don't have so much of that ink in the way. You could use a sponge dauber to put your ink on and mix it like this. It takes a little time, but that way you don't have to worry about dark blue ink in your lagoon, or you know, whatever. And I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, I'm only going to do the top half, or the top third, and I am overlapping just a little because I don't want stripes in my water. Okay. And then now when I stamp this water, I want to put it in place. I want to leave it be. I don't want to lift, okay? And so I'm going to put some pressure, and I like to kind of rub all over. Make sure there's pressure like that. Okay. And then, ta-da! So you can kind of see how the water has like different looks, different phases. You could do any colors. You could do a lot of different colors. So let me clean this off. And let me show you some of the samples that I made. So, sorry, I've got a pile of them. So in this one, for example, at the top, I used sapphire, and in the middle, I used bluebird, and then at the bottom, I used glacier. That's what that looks like, and I think that looks pretty cool. And then at the bottom on this one, I used toffee, which is a little darker color of brown, and I used toffee for the hello. No, I did not. I used espresso for the hello. So the hello is much darker brown than the sand. It really stands out. All right, on this one, I only used 2 colors of blue, and you can tell it was one of my earlier stamps before I really cleaned my stamp off. You can see I had some little dots and stuff in it. It didn't stamp as clean. It still looks nice, but it's not as nice as this one, for example. Okay, so on this one I used the sapphire and the bluebird. And for the sand, on this one, I used shortbread. I know that doesn't look like shortbread, but it is. Okay. Here I used the same kind of combo that I have here. Well, no, sapphire, bluebird, and lagoon. And here is the same combo in a different order. So in this one I used the bluebird at the top, lagoon, and glacier. And then I messed around with it with a toffee shimmer brush just to see if I could get that sand glistening looking. And it does look kind of cool, but it does take away from how much your message shows. So there's a lot of options. The sand is really easy to stamp. I'm going to leave that on because I'm going to do something real quick. The sand is really easy to stamp. It's basically just a single stamp, a single color, and it's super easy to line up and stamp into place. So I'm not going to show you that one just yet. So I want to show you kind of a cool idea that I had, and a neat idea for a card. I'm going to put those aside. So in addition to having regular card bases cut, I also do that for watercolor paper. So this watercolor paper is cold press, which I like a little bit better. And so this is like just regular cold press. And then it's smooth on one side and bumpy on the other. And technically, I believe you're supposed to use the bumpy side when you're watercoloring. But because it's a stamp and I really want it to stamp nice and smooth, I'm going to use the other side. It works just as well. I just want to show you kind of a cool idea. So we're going to do that same kind of gig where we stamp up the bottom in glacier, and then let's do lagoon as our second color. Like that. And let's go ahead and do I want to use that? No, I think I want to use Bluebird. And then we'll use Bluebird at the top. And again, I'm kind of mixing the colors. I don't want just stripes going across. And this is where you could use your sponge dauber and, you know, mix things a little bit too. Now what I'm going to do, because it's watercolor paper, we can mess around a little. I have my spritzer full of water, and it's a real light mist and so I'm going to mist my water, and you can see it kind of bubbles up on there. And I'm going to go ahead and put my watercolor paper on, and I'm just going to put the pressure this way. This is just another way to stamp it. I could have done it the other way, but I want you to have the reveal, the surprise. And sometimes if you have a lot of water on your stamp when you do this, it drips when you lift it. So look at that. That is really cool. It gives you kind of a neat watercolor effect without having to do watercolor. And I always have a paper towel around just to pick up that extra water. Ah, isn't that fun? I love it. I love it. So I'm going to do 2 of these because I want to make another card that looks just like it, basically. I'm going to do a slimline, and I want to show you how you can put these side by side on a card. So we're going to do I wiped it off. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do Glacier at the bottom, and then Lagoon in the middle, and then the Bluebird at the top. All right, and then we have our new piece of the watercolor paper. I'm going to spritz, lightly mist, and this time I'll flip it just to show you. And since it's watercolor paper, it absorbs the water. It's really nice to have that take just a little extra time for the color to transfer, because otherwise, you know, it lifts. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to clean my stamp again. And let's do the sand. All right, so there's our 2 pieces. And I'm gonna grab our sand off of here. And I'm going to use shortbread. Now with this, if you don't want to do the watercolor look, you don't have to with the sand. I like the watercolor look either way, but I'm just gonna put this on here. I just want you to see how easy it is to line up. It just, boom, right in the center, lines up. And we stamp, and see how it looks kind of light and pretty. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this one so I don't have to clean my stamp in between. It's nice to have all these different colors of inks to use for stamps like this. All right, let me wash this off. that's the last time I'm going to stamp that one unless you want to see it again really bad. So I'm going to put that one back. Now with this, I have a paper trimmer next to me, and I'm going to trim this down. So you're going to hear me chopping here. So you can kind of see I trimmed the extra white off. And when you put the stamp together, there's definitely going to be a line. This stamp is not made to go in a marching thing like across a scrapbook page, but what you can do is you can fiddle with it and make the water line meet, and that a lot of times will make it look like it's meant to go together. If that visually looks right, the rest of it will look right. So let me just put that in my trimmer. I'm going to cut it down for a slimline card. And there's one. And there's two. Okay. So you can kind of see how I was going to put that together. And there's definitely going to be a little bit of a line, but it's not bad. So I got out my, I'm going to move my pad there. I got out this paper. I thought it looked nice with it. Yeah. Looks like I could trim that a little more. I'm going to trim a little more. Just a minute. There we go. That's great. Okay. And I like this blue, but I might do the lighter side of it. And I like the shortbread, but I'm gonna do the lighter side of it. And so let me just attach those. I promise I will not make you watch me glue all day. I have a lot of cards that I want to show you today, but I don't necessarily have to assemble them all. I can kind of show you without assembling. Okay, so here's the opening. Now I'm going to put this down. Now this is heavier paper, watercolor, so I would use a little more adhesive. All right. I think I'm gonna put this here and this here. I'm lining up that visual line so that, there we go. And see, you can see there's a line. So now I have this. Now this would be really cool. Like you could do this all across the bottom of a scrapbook page, and you could mess around with it a little bit so that your photos, the way your photos fall, you know, covers up parts of it. Let's see. And I have like the voice of the sea speaks to the soul, and I think I'll put that here. Now, let's bring in our stamp of the month. Our stamp of the month has lots of images, and I think this one would be really, the only ones that are out of the water is you could do the crab or the bird. So what I did, I cut out a whole bunch of them, and I just sort of colored them, did different things. So we can put that over that seam. It does help cover it a little bit. It just depends on how you want that to look. The other thing that we could do, there are 3 independent shells that we could stamp along the beach, just so that you know, there's more filling the space. Also, those little seashell sequins look really amazing with this. So there's card number 1. I think that's really cute. Lots of really neat idea to do. The other message that's in here that I like, there's one that says sending good vibes your way. I like that one too. There's another little one that just says hello, and there's one that says time to relax. And that's a good message for the inside of the card. So, all right. So here's card 1. I think this is a neat idea. I'm going to put that aside. And let's work on card number 2. I'm going to put that here because we're going to be using it. You could also put your beach messages on here and just have it say miss you or hello. You know, you could just use this set alone. All right. So last week I showed you a card where the inner side flips to the picture flips to the inside, and this card is really fun, so I wanted to show you this and tell you how I made it. Basically, I used, you know, the circle shaker, or you could use any circle die, and these are just white cardstock, and I used Distress Oxide inks to shade with orange and browns and greens and blues, whatever I had. I think I used 3 colors. And then stamp on it with black. Isn't that cool? And it looks really neat. Then, just for kicks, I added some stickles. This is a new color that's gonna be in the new catalog that I'll be showing you soon. This one's called Saltwater, and this one's called Pacific Coast. Basically, I like this because it's sort of what I call like a mermaid green, and I just used it like paint around the edges of the circle. Made it really sparkly, and it doesn't come off. It looks really nice. Ta-da! And then, of course, I'm using the mix-in paper pack that I think looks like water, this one. And on the inside I used the polka dot. Ta-da! So there's card number 2. I thought that was really fun. Now, I did not get out my Distress Oxides today because it does take a long time to show you all the cool stuff I like to make with them. But I did want to show you that I took a white piece of cardstock and I just used my Distress Oxide, I think this is Mermaid Lagoon, and I just sort of put it all over the background. That's all it is. And it kind of gives it an oceany look. And then I used a piece of shortbread and I added a little bit of vintage photo to it, and I tore it so the white is showing, and I thought, look at that, like layered sand. Isn't that cool? One of the neat effects that you can do on Distress Oxides that you can't do on regular, you know, like dye inks, is you can add water to them and they react. So I'm going to show you a couple of little things. This is just a block, and I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to spritz some of my water on there so I have a little water. And then I just have a brush. You can use your shimmer pen, your brush, or any paint brush. And I am just gonna flick some water onto the Distress Oxide. And this is just a cool effect that happens. Distress Oxide will react with the water, and it will make the ink light there so it looks like little bubbles. So I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Since this is not wet, it takes just a little bit longer. If you flicked water on it immediately, it would just immediately, you would see the bubbles. I guess you're starting to see them there. See how they're kind of white? So that's really a cool idea. I'm going to set that aside just for a minute, and I'm going to show you this one. So in this case, I used Distress Oxide, and I used a light color in the middle, a middle color, and then the outside I used like chipped sapphire to make it really dark. Some people even use black on top of here then to make it even darker and bolder. And this one is especially good for adding some drops. You want it to, the closer you are, the bigger the water's gonna be. The farther you are, the smaller the drops are gonna be. And so this just gives you a flicky, like a bubble effect. Okay, and again, since my Distress Oxides are not wet, like I didn't just do this today, I did it yesterday and set it aside. It takes just a little bit longer for the water to react, but on this one it's more striking because the color is so dark. You can see the water starting to react. So I'm just gonna lay my paper towel on there to get the big drops off, and then you can really see. Look at that. Isn't that neat? And then take your little sea turtle. Isn't he cute? And then, you know, maybe do a message, or look how cute that is. He's really cute. The little fish is kind of neat too. I had a little more trouble coloring the fish because I know I've seen these fish that are blue and yellow, and so that's what I did. I made them blue and yellow, and they didn't stand out as strongly on here. So on this one I just used the little turtle, and then I think putting a message on here is really neat. I also think it would look good, you know, matting it on another color onto your card. I just think he's really cute. Love that. I love it. Let me see. Sending good vibes. Cute, cute. You could even do some sand at the bottom if you wanted to. So there's another idea for a card, and that's using the Distress Oxide. Now this one, let's go back to this one. You can see the dots. They're more subtle. In person, they're more obvious, okay? It's like, oh, yes, there they are. So I am going to put down my sand, and the first piece I'm putting down with normal, and the second piece I'm going to put down like a little foam tape. And that gives it just a little dimension when you're making your card. And then, of course, you can put in, you know, your fish. You can put in, you could put in your turtle. The other thing that's part of this set besides the turtle and the fish, and we already did, you could do the little crab. Isn't that cute? Is just this piece, and it's just shells and coral, and it kind of goes nice with the fish like that. Look at that. Really nice. And then, you know, putting that onto a mat onto your card. You could do different colors, like if you wanted to pull out the green color, you could put it on green. If you want to pull out the coral color, you could put it on a coral color of cardstock. So lots of ideas there for just making different colors pop. Depending on what background you decide to use. So I thought that one was super cute. The other thing that I thought was a really great idea is using the sequins because they look like bubbles when you put them on. Let me see if I can get this open. So let me just pour just a few out. And let me get my little pickup tool. And so you could, you know, make your little fish have different bubbles. I think that's really cute. So neato, right? That is a really great way to use your sequins and add dimension to your card. You don't have to put a message, but you could put a little message on it or one across the bottom. I love, you could tuck it into the sand. Love it, love it. And then, you know, look at that. That looks really neat. Love that so much. So there's another idea for a card using the Stamp of the Month. Now, so far I have shown you so many things with, I'm just gonna dump that off on my sheet again. I don't wanna have to color this set all the time. So I want to show you a few other backgrounds that I made. If you use your watercolor paints and you just use water and you just make a wash of water all over and then just use your ink, you can, like this one I used Glacier and I used a little Lagoon and I just, a little bit of Capri, and I just picked up that paint out of the lid. You know, you've seen me do that a million times. And as you wash it into the water, it just sort of starts blending. And so that makes kind of a neat effect. The other thing I did on this one is I took my finger and I smeared a little bit of glitter here and there just to make it sparkly. I thought that looked kind of cool, and that makes a really neat card. And this is stamped in Lagoon. It looks a little blurry because I did not wait till it dried. I'm so impatient. But if you waited till it dried, it would be a nice sharp image. And I just used Lagoon ink to stamp the turtle, and so you can see that's that. That would be really nice. Put on a card like that. I could put sequins on it. It'd look really great. Okay, so there's that one. Here's another wash that I did, and it's very messy looking and it doesn't look like much really, but what's really cool about this one is I used a lot of different brighter, bolder colors. So you can put this on any color and get like a neat look. And what I like about this is it almost looks like sand here, so I could do the little crab with your message. Excuse me. You can do anything you want with these. So this was just an idea of using different things. Now you may have noticed I haven't used the bird yet. I want to show you. So the bird, what's really great about the bird is he's actually kind of on the sand, and so it would work if you were thinking of this as sky to put your little bird here. Actually, that could be ocean. The bird is super easy to color because most of the seagulls and stuff are white. I just put a little bit of gray on his feathers and then a little orange on his beak. And to make it stand out, I had a little bit of this twine. It's just basically white string left, and I tied it around the the little wood, I think they're called piles, that are cut out. So that's kind of cool. I thought that looked really nice, and that would be a really nice card like that. Or you could put him on something more colorful. So that's a neat idea, right? Here's one that I did earlier with sand at the bottom and blue at the top. Distress inks. You can see that I squirted it with water, and that looks really nice on there. And I think that looks like a great card. I also got out my spritzer sprays. These are messy, so I keep them in a baggie. They're messy. They're not always, if I'm going to use them though, I like to use, I like to make a bunch of things at once, but this is one that I used the green, the lime, turquoise, and the blue on all three colors, and I just let it dry, and I thought it kind of looks like, to me, it looks like it would be great for a scrapbook page where kids are playing in a hose or something, you know. But this one would be really neat with, you know, if you colored your fish a little different color, or, you know, actually something in the water, maybe the turtle, maybe cut, if I turn it, and I don't know, just mess around and see what you come up with. Like that. And then again, you know, we have those little seashells that you could cut out or put on there. I think this one is one of my favorites because it's a little, it's different. It's just really different. And look at that with the green. That looks really neat. So this is one where you can play and come up with some neat ideas. All right, let me see. Then the other card I want to show you, this is probably the last one I'm gonna make. I had this old embossing folder that is bubbles. It's called Tiny Bubbles, and that's what it is, just tiny bubbles. And so I have a lot of embossing folders. I could do something with this. I could make it blue or whatever, but I really like the idea of, let me just grab a little brush and scratch paper. My inks are, I tried to wash my brushes out the other day. I just use a little baby shampoo or Dawn and wash these brushes out. I just treat them nice like makeup brushes, and they last forever. So if you decide you want to buy some of these brushes, you basically want to treat them like you would any makeup brush, and they'll last forever. Okay, so I just want to do, I'm just going to use my Glacier, and I'm just going to do a real soft sponging onto these hexagon shapes that I cut out. And Glacier is a really soft color, which I really love. Let me just put that on there like that. And then I think on the other one, I'm going to use Lagoon, and I'll do the bigger one in Lagoon. In between, when you're using these brushes, you can, if you're going from lighter to darker, it doesn't usually matter, but if you are going from like a green to a blue or a blue to a yellow or something, you almost need a brush for each color. All right, I really like how that looks. Might add a little Lagoon to that. And then you can do other things too. You can make those multiple colors. Maybe I'm just going to add a little bit to this little one. All right, that's good. So I had these rectangles, and I thought, this would be kind of a cool card like this to add, I don't know, to add some images to where I didn't have to actually color them. And so let me show you, like, here's the turtle. I have my intense black ink. And I'll put them upright. So I'll put the turtle on like here. And you can see he's just done in black ink. Let me wipe him off. And what else should we do? Maybe just this one in black ink, and we'll just put it here. Wipe it off. And I think I may put on this one maybe the starfish. I think that's good. All right. Ta-da! So there's that, and that is just the hexagon. And I'm going to put together a little card where I use my bubbles and then put my different images on, maybe like that, and then I love that. And then maybe our message. See, I could move all this up, make a little room for the message. Ta-da! I love that. I think that one looks really neat. It's very simple. And just imagine if you added a few, stickles or pearls to it, just to add a little something. I also like the idea of using, the different colors of bubbles. This is the, this pack is the Serenity, what was the name of that? Bluebell. This is the Bluebell pack. And so this one has a lot of blues and silvers in it. And so you can pick out what you really like out of it and add them to your card. And you can see just that little bit of bling really does seem to make a difference. Just like that. I love it. Okay, so there's that one. And see, it didn't take me very long to put that together, but I do think that looks really neat. So, okay, let me just dump that off a minute and show you real quick using that same. When I cut these cards out to make, you know, the flippy cards, I ended up with some extra rings, and I thought, and some extra circles, and so I thought that would be kind of a neat card too. I could do this dimensional, like on foam, and then my fish could go inside like that. Look at that, isn't that cool? Now the other, where's my other image that I had? You could do any of them in here. I like the fish a lot. You could do, you know, your turtle. That's really cute. The bird. I like that. You could even do like your little crab on that. Isn't that cute? You could put something else in the middle and just have your little crab there. Something like that. I really love it. All right, I'm looking for my coral. I don't know what I did with it. I've been dumping stuff off over here, so my pile's gotten goofy. But you get the idea, right? It's you can use anything you want and just add it to the center. I really like the fish. And then put your message on, and you can move that circle anywhere. You can move it up high, down low. You could put a little piece of ribbon. I love it. Love it, love it. I really wish, oh, there's my coral. See how, okay, here's what I was gonna show you. So like if you put this here, you can put your coral here. There you go. Isn't that cute? What a fun card. Fun, fun, fun. There's one other card that people love to make. It's an oldie. And it would take me a long time to describe it. I may do a different card or a different day showing you that, but this is really, it's kind of like the hexagon idea where you do different colors and put them together, but you can mask areas and it almost looks like window scenes. I'll show you that some other day. Anyway, love these. I love this set. I've been obviously having fun with it. I honestly just got it in the mail a couple days ago. I love how it looks with the ocean. So if you get the opportunity to, you know, play with this ocean set, this one will make some really neat cards. Ta-da! With a little crab. Okay, I need to stop playing and let you go. I hope you have a good afternoon, everybody, and I can't wait to see what you make with it. Bye-bye.